Okay, we're going to show you now how to actually create one of these nice looking knives, and you can use that for cutting up your chicken or beef, and it's a very nice looking knife to actually keep with you in your car, in the kitchen. The other knife that we created was actually popping off these thin slivers using a rock. Smash the bamboo and then breaking it up into these thin slivers here and peeling off a section where it practically delaminated a very thin piece like this. Now, can you use a real thick piece like this? And when I say thick, there's a lot of that pulp left over. Actually, that's not ideal for creating the bamboo knife. You need something really thin like this. So if you look at the thickness of this one here, and then the thickness of this one here that pops off, this is basically the ideal thickness that you want. So the sample piece that I cut off over here, if you want to make one of these knives, you can start out with a very thick piece like this. Then you have to thin off a lot of that pulpy area over here that's on the inside of the bamboo, and then keep the outer coating or the hull as your knife. So what I'm going to do is take a metal knife, and I'm going to actually split off a little bit more of this bamboo because right now it's pretty wide. So I'm going to take off a section here. And one thing that's ideal about bamboo is that the fibers go parallel along in a almost a vertical configuration, so that when you split something, you can actually split off really nicely like this. So now I've got a piece that's about that wide. I've taken off a small piece like this. So now we need to actually thin out that pulp area and just keep a little bit of that pulp, and then the majority of the hull or the outer area that has a lot of silica in it. So I'm going to actually put my knife here and then split it really thin. You can see how much I'm taking off there. Oops, I took off a little bit too much. The knife jumped, so I'm going to go to the other end. I'm going to do this slowly so it doesn't jump again. And then split it just by wedging this knife in here. And be careful when you're doing this, because you can actually cut yourself really easily. And then peel off that section. And that wasn't a very good job that I did, because I was hoping that I would catch part of the node over here to be my handle. But this is a knife that you're going to be using. Look how thin that is. Very, very thin. Now, the part that you want for the cutting edge is that hulm area. And to expose it, I just take off slivers at an angle, almost at an angle, so that it exposes just a nice cutting edge there. I can actually take my fingernail and peel off a section. This is how you sharpen your knife. You can peel off that section there. There's a nice little cutting edge right over there. And this thing will really cut leather. Let me just do a fast demonstration here. I don't know if I can do this by putting some tension on the leather and cutting at the same time. Somebody can hold it for me. You can see that it's already cutting very nicely there, and it cuts a piece of leather like that. So you know that this thing has a bit of edge to it. And this is your cutting knife right here. If you can actually make it looking like this, I mean, you've got a really nice functional implement. To sharpen, as I said, just peel off a section of this thing here, and with your fingernail, and just by peeling it off, you can expose another edge of that hulm, and then you can reuse it again. These things will dull after many use, so it needs to be resharpened every now and then by peeling out the section. Then eventually you'll get a very tiny piece at the end after using this over and over again. Even something like this can still be used as a cutting tool. It's very, very flexible, so the amount might be only certain things that you might be able to cut it with. But I imagine you could probably use that as a filleting tool for filleting fishes. So my philosophy is experiment with a lot of these primitive tools and see what you can cut with them. As I said, there's some limit to these things, but ideally, if you're in an area that has a lot of bamboo or even reed, give it a try and see if you can actually create a cutting tool. In areas that don't have a lot of stone tools, or not stone tools, but stone material like obsidian or chert or flint, these things were a substitute for using stone tools.